But if the entropy is zero, that means in that particular situation the class is pure. Okay, so either all the games would have been played or all the games wouldn't have been played. So this is the overall entropy of the game of the golf course. Now we are interested inside the information gain in this particular place. We are interested in this information gain. Now when we are computing this entropy, we have already computed this. Now we need to compute the entropy of that particular possible attribute, and that's the formula, that is the probability which we compute. So the wind, like individually we will have to go for each and every attributes in order to decide which one is my root node. So all the thing which we are doing over here is just to determine that which should be our root node. Okay, now over here the 8 times the wind was weak and 6 times the wind was strong, so total it came as 14. Okay, so the thing is, now the probability of weak and strong that we have computed, that's simply 8 by 4, and that has come. Now when we are computing the entropy, so while computing the entropy, you need to make sure that when we are considering the weak, you have two things. One is when the game was played, and one is when the game was not played. Okay, so total 8 times it was weak. Out of 8, that was 6 times when it was played. So you have the first portion, that is px log base to 1 by x, that comes to minus 6 by 8 log base to 6 by 8. Okay, and this is 2 by 8 by 2 by 8. So if you look at the data set, let's go back. If you see over here, there are 2 times when the wind was weak, the game was not played. So this is the place where it was not played, and this is the place where it was not played. Other places the game was played, okay, when it was weak, all the places. That's why out of 8 weeks, 2 by 8 is that the probability of the game when it was not played, when it was weak. So we get the entropy of weak. Now we need to compute the entropy of strong. So in entropy of strong, what happened is we have six times we had the strong wind. Okay. Now out of 6 times, if you see over here, 6 times, 6 times out of 6 times, 3 times the game was not played when it was strong, and 3 times the game was played when it was strong. So that means you have, it's completely impure, both the places it is negative. So in this particular situation, you have 3 times it was played by 6, and this is for the no. So your overall entropy which you get, that is 1. And like I said, if the entropy is 1, that is completely 50%, the data is impure, that belongs to equal distribution of the data. Right, so now we have computed the strong and the weak, the entropy we have computed individually. Now we need to compute the information gain. Okay, so information gain, that is the this entropy, let me just enlarge this entropy which you have. Okay, this entropy which you have. So in this particular case, the entropy we have already computed, probability we know of the weak and probability we know of the strong, and individual entropy of weak and strong, the one which we have already computed. So the overall information gain which we get over here, that if you solve this up, it comes to 0.048. Okay, using the same method, what we did is we computed the entropy for each and every one over here. So if you see in this particular 4 cases, the highest information gain which we received, that came to 0.246. That is the one which we have focused on, because all the other places it's below than that. So now it's decided that outlook should be the one on that should be our root node. That is first step. So now the outlook has been defined over here, and you will get sunny, overcast, and rain. Now the next step is, when you look at the overcast, when you start computing, you will find that its entropy is 0. Okay, so every time the game was played. Now left out part, that is, now 2 sections are left. One is sunny, one is rainy. Okay, so when you come to sunny, what happens is, now in this particular data set, you will have to remove this column. You just have to compute for this column. out of which you just have to look for the sunny data set. Okay, inside that, because it is sunny, now which should be the other attribute that will give you the best result, that we have to focus on. And the steps will keep on following until and unless you get a tree where the leaves are completely pure. So this is the decision tree which you will get, that will represent your entire data set. Now, whenever a test data comes, if the outlook and it's overcast, directly this column only you just have to look at. You don't have to consider all of features. Like in KNN, we have to consider all the dimensions. In naive Bayes, we have to consider the probability of each and every attribute. But over here, whatever is necessary, like if it is sunny and if it is high, the game will not be played. I'm not worried about the wind. Nowhere I am worried about the temperature. In the entire place, temperature is of no use in this particular game. So this decision tree is also used most of the places for feature selection also. Now this is for classification. Similarly, you have for regression, both the places this decision tree can be applied for. Now, coming to the analysis section, if you have KNN, if you have naive Bayes, if you have decision tree, okay. If I talk about the accuracy, some might be up, some might be down, depending upon the data. But related to the testing time, the test time of decision tree is very, very less as compared to naive Bayes, because over there you have so many attributes to multiply with, and over here you just have to put a test condition. You don't need any matrix multiplication for this. So that's what decision tree is. Same way, when we talk about random forest, which is not there in the slide, when we talk about the random forest, in case of random forest, it's a combination of multiple decision trees. How do we achieve that? That we will see later on. Okay. Till this point, any doubt, any questions? Please ping. Otherwise, we will move to the hands-on part. Please ping me on the chat if these points are clear. Now, in the files, I have shared 4 files with you. If you go and look over there, on those 4 files, okay, what you can do is, if you have let's say Jupyter notebook, you can open in that. Otherwise, you can just open it in the Google Colab. What do? You paste those files inside the folders and then simply open that. I'll show you that. Yes, sir. Okay. So what do? You paste those files on the drive. Okay. Now, before we start, there are 2 things. You just either you can go with the Jupyter notebook, or you can simply open this with Google Colab. Open with. In open with, the option is Google Colab over here. If you're not getting this Google Colab, what you can do is you can go to Connect More Apps, search for Google Collaboratory, then it will come. Install that and it will come. So now you need to open this up. Yes, sir, but not able to download. Okay, just give me a second. Just try this from here. I guess you should be able to download it.
Sir, just a minute, sir. I'm not able to download it.
Yes, sir, no problem. I have shared a Google Drive link. You can download it from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Fahim, sir, you can just mute yourself. It will get downloaded from the Google Drive. Okay. I'll give you, it's 43. I'll give you 2 minutes. Download it, create a drive in your Google Drive and paste those files over there.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Now I got, sir.
I hope everybody has done that. Okay, all of you, please pay attention over here. Now there are 2 files. One is for Python basics and one is for machine learning. Python basics, it's just to make you guys familiar with the Python. Okay, like over here, when it gets open up, what you can do is you can see a left hand side this button. Who are new to the Python, okay, this is the run button which you have. You can simply click on that. The statement will get executed. Let's see that, and the values will get displayed over here. Now, the thing is, sometimes the system might get hanged or you're not sure about that. So you can go to the runtime and 1 second.
Hello, excuse me, sir. Sir, please share
Yes,
Sir,
slide.
screen not visible.
screen not visible.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Sir, please share screen.
I shared it earlier. Now, in this particular situation, what is there is you once
Excuse,
you put it. Hello.
hello, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, will they run on Anaconda Navigator? I have installed that.
Yeah, you can, if it's there inside that, you can go to the Jupyter notebook and you can use that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just explaining to the people who are not comfortable with Anaconda, whose system does not support that, they can use Google Colab. Once you open the Jupyter notebook using the Anaconda or directly the Jupyter notebook, you will get the same page over here. So what I can do is over here, these are few options like say restart and run, all interrupt, or whatever the options are there. Okay. So this is the output which you get. So this, if you want to print something, the print is the basic command. Then in this particular case in Python, you don't have to explicitly define the data type. The system itself will detect and assign the data type to it. So if you see over here, there are three variables which we defined: variable 1, 2, 3. So first one is an integer, second one is a float, third one is a string. So it's completely fine. You simply just execute that, it will get assigned to it. So defining the data type is not necessary in case of Python. Suppose you want to add a text to the variable which you are printing, so you can just put the, let's say the text which we have value of pi is, and then you print the variable. Suppose you want to assign multiple variables with the same value, so you can just have var1 equals to var2, like that. Okay. And if you suppose if you just want to have different values and different data types, you can just separate them by comma. Like if you see var1 comma var2 var3, make sure that if you are giving three variables over here, you also give three values over here of any type. That's not a matter. Then you have string operations. In string operations, like the one, like if you want to print the complete string, if you want to print the first character, if you want to print between 2 to 5 characters, so these are the places and all the explanations are given over here. Yeah, so these are fine. For loop, these things you can just run, execute it, and then you can check it. Broadcasting, this is important. Now, sometimes what happens is whenever matrix multiplication, if you do both the matrix, let's say addition you are doing, both the matrix should be of the same dimension, but sometimes it's not possible. So in that particular situation, what we do is we use the broadcast method. You don't have to explicitly define that, the system will take it. So suppose this C and D matrix, that is 3 cross 3 matrix, and E is a 3 cross 1 matrix. Now in this particular case, if I simply want to add C plus D, so each element will get added up correspondingly. But if I want to do C plus E where the dimensions are not same, so what will happen is this 1, 2, 3 will get added with the first row, then it will get added to the second row, then it will get added to the third row. Fine. So if you see over here, C plus E, okay. So you get 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 9, 5, 8, 11. Okay, like 1, 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5. So you get 1, 3, 5 over here. Fine. So broadcast is nowadays, if you see any programming language, broadcast is something which just want to convey that it's just like if the dimensions are not same, it creates a loop like structure to match it with that particular dimensions, and it does the matrix multiplication with this. The best part of this numpy is, in the case of Python, is it automatically tries to parallelize the matrix multiplication. You don't have to explicitly define the parallel multiplications. Then these are some of the values present over here with some scatter chart, bar plot and all. Now if you see over here, line plot, it's simply let's say with some numbers you just want to plot with it. Bar plot is something where you want to show the frequency of a particular word, or let's say particular category which has occurred. Scatter plot, if you remember today's in the morning session, the scatter plot was the one using which we were determining and saying that the units and minutes are linearly dependent upon one another. Okay, so we use this scatter plot to visualize the way whether the two elements are linearly or directly or indirectly dependent. So if the graph goes like this, or it goes like this, or it goes like this to this, okay, then we call it as linearly dependent, directly dependent, not linearly, directly dependent. If the graph comes like this, when that means when x-axis is increasing, y is decreasing, so that is inversely
Sir,
proportional. Yes, we consider it to be linear. Yes,
sir, the file you have shared, it is not opening in the Colab. Means if you can say that how to open in the Colab.
just give me 2 minutes. I'll explain that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the one which is there. Same way you have histogram and pie chart. Now let's come to the next section. Okay, next one is for the machine learning part which we did. Now, now, like I said, before proceeding with any data set, first part is to prepare the data set. Now, what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to work on a iris data set. So iris data set, if you see earlier, it was with University of Irvine. I'm not sure where it has moved. Iris is actually a flower. Yeah, this is iris is a flower. So this flower has a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. So these are your 4 parameters or 4 attributes of this. And the fifth one is the class, that is Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Now, the same thing, depending on the Setosa's length, width, and petal length, width, and sepal length, width, you will have to categorize the flower either into Setosa, versicolor, or virginica. Now, if you see over here in the data folder, the one which we have, iris data set, this one. Let me just download and show it to you. I must have downloaded it earlier. You can just download that and you can just change the extension. Let me just change the name only. Yeah. So you see, these are the values which are separated by comma. Okay, 4 values, and you have Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Now the thing is, they are equally distributed. So you have 50 versicolor, you have 50 virginica, and you have 50 Setosa values. Okay, so this is your iris data set. Now let's come back. Over here, if you see the data set, I'm just using the library, and this data set, iris data set, is actually present inside the sklearn library only. So you do not have to execute it again and again. Okay. Now, yeah, I will use my local system, that will be pretty fast. Yeah, this one. So if you see over here, so now what I'm doing, I'm using sklearn library, and over here I'm loading this data sets. Now, after loading the data set, what I am just trying to display it over here, some data. Now, the thing is, please make it a habit whenever you are working with machine learning, separate the features and separate the classes which you want to predict. So over here, the data is all the features are going inside data and all the classes are going inside this. Okay. Now, why we are doing this? So that we can separate the values. And I'm just displaying the first 10 records. That's it. Now, I just want you to show a diagram, okay, using this. There is one package as SNS. Let's just sorry, Seaborn. Yeah, this one. Now, since iris is a four-dimensional plot, it becomes very difficult for us to imagine. Okay, so like I said, we assume that they are 90 degree, all the dimensions are 90 degree to one another. Now, this is a multi-dimensional plot. If you see, in multi-dimensional plot, what happens is you take two species at a time. Okay, like Setosa and versicolor, you have taken versicolor and virginica, or two features at a time. So if you see over here, okay, this particular row, okay, wherever you see in this particular row, y-axis will denote your sepal length, okay, and the x-axis over here for this particular column is sepal width. This particular column is petal length. This is petal width. Okay. So now if you see this petal width and sepal length, you see over here the species somewhat they are completely separable. Okay. If you see over here. So this is the multi-dimensional plot where two attributes you are taking at a time. Now let's say this figure, some other figure. Yeah, this one. You see, Setosa is separated almost in all the figures, but versicolor and virginica, when you are considering sepal length and sepal width, okay, during sepal length and sepal width, it is almost getting overlapped. Okay, these two, versicolor and virginica. Same thing happened over here, sepal width and sepal length. It's getting overlapped. Now, the thing is, the datas are not actually getting overlapped because we are just looking at a two-dimensional perspective. If it would have been four-dimensional perspective, then they must have been separated far away from one another. Now, the thing is, let me just put it this way. Okay, why this is important? Suppose you have a point A, which is 2, 2. Okay, and there is a point B, which is again 2, 2. So when I draw this plot in the x-axis, both the points for me it appears at the same place, A and B both, because that is 2, 2. Okay. Okay. Now the thing is, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to increase a dimension. I'm putting 2, 2, 0. Okay, that is further, and to this I'm adding let's say 5. Okay. So now what happened is I have added a new axis in this particular situation. So when I added a new axis, so over here, let's say point A is over here only. Now point B will change and get to a different place. Now they appear us to be the different values or different points. That's why when we reduce the dimensions, sometimes we are not able to visualize it properly, and that's why there is a term known as curse of dimensionality reduction when we go with PCA and all. Okay. So same way over here we checked other things, like in this also you see when we are considering petal length and petal width, we are able to clearly separate those things. Even petal length and this they both the graphs are same. Fine. So this is a multi-dimensional plot. Now what I am doing is I am splitting my data set. So there is a function known as trend test split. So you have, I am passing my data, I am passing the class, and I am passing the size, which is 0.6. So now 30% data will be belonging to test, and 70% data I will be using for my training. Now, this is one more important thing. Whenever we talk about the splitting up the data, when I said 30%, so 30% instead of taking, if you're doing it manually, don't take the 30% of the entire data set. Make sure that you take 30% from Setosa, you take 30% from versicolor and 30% from virginica, and then club it. So that overall it will come to 30% of the entire data set, but you will have equal distribution of the data. Okay, so this one. Now what I have done is I have splitted this data set into X-train, X-test, Y-train, Y-test. So this is the features for training, this is the features for testing, this is the label of training, and this is the label of test. Now this test label will be used to determine whether my prediction is true or not. So what I will be doing is I will be using X-train and Y-train to train my model. Then I will use X-test features to predict the to classify the data, and then I will compare it with this Y-test whether it's same or not. Make sure that whenever you are writing any machine learning algorithm, you should never ever try to mix the data. That means if the values are present in trained data, that should not go to the test data. You have to be explicitly exclusive. There should not be any overlapping. So these are the dimensions which we get. So 105 records for training, 45 records for test, 4 are the dimensions. Okay. Now, if I want to build the KNN classifier, so you have a library known as sklearn. I am defining my nearest neighbors to be 4. Okay. Then I am building my model. I am fitting my data using X-train and Y-train. Then I am using knn.predict to predict my X test. Okay. So let's train with 4 classifiers and see the result. So when we take a neighbors equals to 4, I get accuracy as 93. Let's reduce this and see. I get 95%. So increasing the neighbors always might not give you the best result. Like in this particular case, I have got 95.6. Let's reduce this. So which value will give you the best values? It's not sure. You will have to optimize. Now it has reduced. If I make it 5, on papers, usually they say that now if the neighbors you are considering, if it is 5, that gives you the best result. Let's see that. It's still 5. So that means k equals to 2 in our case is giving us the best result. Like we have just gone with 4 or 5 records, 4 or 5 k values. Okay. Then there is a confusion matrix which will say you that how many labels you have properly classified. So if you see over here, your versicolor, there are 2 values of versicolor that are getting misclassified. There were 14 Setosa, 17 versicolor, and 12 virginica. If you see the classification report, this is the classification record. So around 96% of accuracy you are trying to achieve. So this was with this. The same thing, I have split it up into X-train, Y-train. So now I will be using naive-based algorithm to predict this. Okay. So I'm using naive-based method over here. I have built a model, and now I'm training the model using X-train, Y-train, and then I'm predicting this. So same thing I'm doing. Let's see the accuracy. I get 100% accuracy in case of naive-based as compared to KNN. If you go with decision tree, same thing we are doing, max depth, like how many depth you want to consider. So I'm just taking 2. In this particular case, I'm getting 93%. So like I said, the KNN naive based decision tree, your accuracy might change, but as compared to your time taken to get the output, the predicted output, decision tree is very fast as compared to KNN. Okay. Till now, is it clear to all of you? Please ping me on the chat. Okay, there's a few questions. Let's see that. A chess screen was not visible. Okay. Is it clear till now? Please respond me on the chat box. Guys, please respond me on the chat box. Yes. Okay. Fine. Now, let me just show you one more thing with the linear regression. Then I will give you some time to practice with the Python, and then I'll give you one problem statement. Okay, so there is one data set known as Boston. Okay, it's related to price. So this is the data set which we have. Okay, and over here you have CRIM, ZN index. These are some parameters. On the basis of that, you will have to decide the price. Okay, what should be the price if these values are given to you? So what I'm doing over here is same thing I'm doing, but before we proceed, we first have to check whether is there any null value or not. If there is any null value, you will have to fix that. So I can see that I have used data is dot is null sum. So I can see that all the sums are 0. If there would have been any value, you need to either drop. Usually it is said that if 30% of the row or 30 more than 30% of the row or more than 30% of the column, if the values are null or missing, in that particular situation you should drop that. Otherwise you should have used a data imputation technique like mean, medium, or the sequence, or whichever you follow to fill up those series. So since there are no null values, so nothing will be dropped in this particular situation. Okay. Now again, what I'm doing is I'm trying to split my data set into what you can say train and test place over here. Okay, like X was my inside X, I'm just dropping the price, the one which I want to predict, and Y I'm just storing the price. So then I split it into X train, Y train, X test, and Y test. Now we can build a linear regression model, and these are the coefficients which it has determined, like CRIM minus 0.12257, this is 0.008, CHAS is 4.69. that means if it would have done with CHAS the prediction, it would have been very great. That means it's very directly dependent. The negative signs over here imply that it is inversely proportional, and if it would have been plus, that would have been directly proportional to it. So once we have built the model, once you have launched the model, then what we have to do is you will have to predict all the values. So right now we are just dealing with the train part. Okay, then we can go the values over here. So if you see, root mean square error is 4.3, and r square is a measure to it's actually the variance which you are looking at. If the r square value is towards 1, that means your model is very good, because root mean square error, mean square error, mean absolute error, just on the basis of this we cannot decide. Like I said today in the morning, when we got 27,000 using mean, we said that we are not sure whether it's a good or bad. When we compared with model 0, we found that mean was very giving us very bad result as compared to model 1. But when we optimized the data, it came around 358 or 340 something. Now this RMSE does not has any range, but R square has a range between 0 to 1. Now what we did is, once we have done the prediction, we plotted that. So you see there is a direct relationship which is coming. Same thing over here, the residues, the ones which are left, the epsilon, once you plot that, it should be random. So this is part of the linear and the KNN method which is there. Okay, so those who are new with the what you can say with the Python, they should first go and complete all the Python basics. You simply have to execute it and check. Once you have done that, that's fine. Okay, then you move to the problem statement which I am going to give you today. So what you have to do is you need to look at the wine data set. Inside wine data set, there are around 13 characters over here. Okay, and you need to classify few things. It's a classification problem. Okay, so you will have to divide it into 30-70 ratio, then you will have to classify this. Now the thing is, this data set will have a combination of text and integer both. Okay, so what you can do is, the text wherever you have, one second, I'll just show it to you and explain you how you have to proceed. Okay, we have all the text data, so we don't have to worry. So you can simply go and do this one. But yes, there's one more thing. In this data, if you see, some places it is 13, some places it is 1 point something, some places it is 100. That means your data is not normalized. But in value, when we are considering KNN, you have to make sure that the values are normalized. All the columns are in the range of 0 to 1. Okay, then you can proceed. Otherwise, the values which are more, it will get dominated. Somebody asked for the link. This is the link which is there. Okay, Rag Agarwal, is it fine? So now you please start up and tell me the output. Okay, you have 30 minutes for this fine data set. Make sure that you normalize the column, divide it into 30 and 70%, and then give me the predicted values. These are the names of the columns which are present. It's already there some places. Anyways, guys, so please continue. Now those who are having issues in loading this, just let me know. I will help you with that. Somebody asked that time it's not getting loaded. Please tell me one by one. I will solve the issues. Guys, please let me know one by one. I'll solve the issue. Unable to download the file. I have shared the G Drive link. Download it from there. Minal, the link which I have shared just now. From the others, are you
Sir,
able
how
to
we have
download?
to?
Others, are you able to download the data? Okay. Somebody was
Sir,
asking
how we
something.
have to use Google Collapse? How
Google
we have to use
Colab.
Google Collapse?
Okay. What you do is you just please mute yourself. I'll explain it. Uh, So what you have to do is just put it over here on the Google Drive. You create a folder and paste it over there. Then you try to open this with Google Collaboratory. If this option is not appearing over here, what you do, you go to connect more apps. Okay. Over here you search for Google Collaboratory. Okay, and then you install it. That's it. Just try it. Yes, Faizan.
Yeah, sir. In Connect More app, what you said after that, Connect More.
Is it done? I hope that now you should be able to complete that. Just refresh the page, go back to the Google Drive,
No,
open
sir.
it
In
up.
Connect More app, what should I do?
You go. Did you install this Google Collaboratory?
Yes, sir. Google Collab and Anaconda. I have, sir.
So
Anaconda
you
and
use
Jupyter also.
Anaconda. You don't go for this Google Colab.
Okay, but in Anaconda also it is not opening, sir.
Jupyter Notebook. The file is not opening, or
The file is not opening,
Anaconda is
sir.
not opening.
Anaconda is opening, sir. Means the Spider I have
One
opened,
second.
and in Spider the file is not opening.
Okay. Has it opened for anybody else? The file. If it's corrupted, then I will share it
In
again.
Spider, in Spider, it is not opening, sir.
Spider, it will not open. It
Sir,
will
I
only
can
open in
access the
Jupyter.
Google
It will
Drive.
open. It will only open in Jupyter Notebook. Otherwise, I will have to share the Python files with you.
Yes, sir, I can open it in Jupyter.
Yeah, that's what. In Jupyter Notebook, it will open. Faizan, are you trying to open it with a Spider or any IPython or something? Yes, sir. When you have to open
Sir,
it
I
with
was I Okay, sir. I will try in Jupyter.
Yeah, Jupyter only it will, because the Jupyter format extension is IPYNB, and other formats it will be PY. Okay. So guys, just finish this up. If anybody is having any issues, just let me know.
Sir, I have downloaded that wine data set. It has, it is down, it is like .data file. How do I get it in the
Dot,
Jupyter?
do one thing. You just change the extension to .csv. Okay.
Okay.
And when you go to machine learning one, on the top you will see the way how you can load the CSV file. This place. So give the path, and then you can proceed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now the file is opening in the Jupyter. So it is the file already have all the answer, na sir. What we should do in this file?
Yeah, so what I said is, those who are comfortable with Python, what they have to do is they have to download the wine data set, load it
Okay.
inside Python, divide the data set into 70-30%, and then they need to do the classification task. No. If you guys are facing difficulty with wine data set, I can give you some other data set as well.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So after opening the file machine learning using Python in collaboratory, what we have to do?
No, you are comfortable with Faizan with Python?
It's a little bit comfortable.
So if you're not comfortable with, if you're comfortable with Python, I said you
Yes, sir.
have to work on the wine data set.
Yes, sir.
You have to load the data set into Python, split it into 70-30%, and then do the classification task. That is one
Okay,
part
sir.
for which I give you 30 minutes of time.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Just now I am putting something on the chat window. All of you please copy paste it and keep it with you. I'll explain it. Just save this thing with you. Okay. And just now I have put it on the chat box.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I am new to Python, so can you please guide from starting? What should I do? Uh,
One second.
like, I should open it in the software or in the Google Colabs first.
Sorry, please repeat.
Sir, actually, I am new to Python, so
Uh-huh.
please guide from starting. What should I do
Okay,
regarding?
Kshitij, first thing is, have you opened it in the Google Colab?
No, sir, I am trying to open it in the Anaconda Navigator, but it's asking to launch that Jupyter.
Yeah, so launch that Jupyter notebook.
But that some Word file is opening and uh,
Show me, can you share your screen?
yes, sir. Sure. Is it visible, sir?
No, not to me. Do one thing, Kshitij.
Yes, sir.
Kshitij, do
Yes,
one
sir.
thing, because it's not, I guess you don't have the access for that. What you can do is, you just go to Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay. In the Google Drive, you create just one folder, paste these files over there.
Okay.
Okay. After pasting the file, just try to double click on that and go to open with option over here.
In the drive.
In the drive, open that file. Once you try to open that, it will ask you with open with.
Hmm.
If you see a Google Collaboratory option over there, click on that. Otherwise, go to connect more apps.
Okay.
Okay. I hope you are noting down the steps.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You click on connect more apps, search over here for collab. Okay, collaboratory. Search for that and install it. Like in my case, it's already installed.
Okay.
Okay, and then you open that one.
Okay, sir.
Try that.
Okay,
Guys,
sir.
3 more minutes are left. Please finish that up with the wine data set. Guys, please mute yourself. How many of you have finished this wine data set? Okay, all of you, please pay attention over here. Let me just explain you an interesting way to just use one value of k equals to 1, and how you can achieve a good result. Shall I start? Guys, shall I start now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So this thing you can just do it. What we did is, I just want to go with k equals to 1. Okay. So suppose these are my 3 classes which I have over here. Now what I will do is, first I will just find out the distance from the test data to all the trained data of a specific class. Then I will select the one which is very nearer to me. This distance, I call it as a smallest distance. Okay. So all the smallest distance I will compute. Fine. Out of this 3, nearest to the particular class and then nearest to all the classes. whichever category it belongs to. Let's say it belongs to Satosa. Okay, let's say it belongs to Satosa. So now it is one place where we have defined. Now what you do is you take the mean . Now you take the mean of each class. Suppose the mean comes over here. Okay, and in this particular case means come over here and here. Now you take the distance from the test to the mean of each classes, find the nearest to it, to whichever category it belongs to. So let's say in this particular situation it comes to versicolor. Okay, like on the basis of mean I'm saying it belongs to versicolor. Then you compute the distance to the farthest point. Fine, farthest point, this one. Now you compute the distance from the farthest point to the distance data, but from the farthest point which is nearer to me, that I should select. So suppose versicolor comes over here. So in that particular situation my class will be versicolor. Why I am saying this is because if you see over here the data set which we have, yeah, you see this particular point, this particular data, if my test data is over here, so ideally should have gone to versicolor, but if I would have considered k equals to 1, it might have come to this place if the data is present over here. So that's why I'm not just considering one point, I'm considering three parameters: nearest point, farthest point, and the mean point. On the basis of that we classify. Guys, is it clear? Is it clear? So these are the steps which I have written. Those who have finished with you, in case of Wine, what you have to do is you just have to load the data, split the data set into 70-30%, and you use the same code which I have given. But this one you will have to write it manually. So I'll give you, let's say, 20 to 25 minutes. No one has finished it till now. Okay. So please finish this up. This was the paper which we published earlier, long back. I guess it was in 2013. With this k value only. So you can just try this one. Guys, do you have any doubts, any questions? NPTEL lecture on Python. Abhinav, just give me a second. Let me just look for any other tutorial. Rana Karan. Anybody else wants me to repeat?
Sir, I also could not able to classify that data, wine data. So I am also new to this Python, and if you
Okay.
guide how to classify, then I can
Okay,
also do.
say that. I will explain that. I'm sorry, I'll tell you from where you can go with Python. This one, let me explain it again. Okay.
No, okay, sir. This Colab also I have installed, but in Colab also it is not opening. And Jupyter I have opened that, but in Google Colab, what you said, I have Google Colab it is installed, but it how to open in a Colab?
You just open the file over there. You will get, once it is installed, you should get the option. If you are not getting the option, refresh the page after installing it. You go to open with, you'll get the option over here. Okay. Now this one, Rana, see over here, what I was saying is, like, the value of k needs to be determined. So if I take the value of k to be 1 and we try to consider it to be 1, I'm taking three parameters: farthest, mean, and smallest. Smallest means from the test data I will compute the I will consider the smallest point. I will not consider all the points present inside my database. I will consider the smallest point. I will compute the distance for all the points, but I will consider the smallest point. On the basis of the smallest point of these three different classes, which is nearer to me, I will classify to that particular class. So I have given it as Satosa. Then I'll take the mean. Mean means mean of the axis. So all the classes, let's say they will have 4 axes. You take the mean axis wise. So let's say it's x and y axis. So you take the mean of x axis, then you take the mean of y axis of that particular class. So you will get the mean value. Then you compute the distance from the mean, okay, the mean over here, and then you find out the nearest one. After that, you consider the farthest distance and you see which one is nearer to me. And after that, you do the voting scheme. Is it clear, Rana? Rana Karan? Rana Karan, is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody was saying that he is not able to open the Google Colab. Is it done now after refreshing the page?
Yes, sir. Now it is open in the Colab and Jupyter also, but the classification still I couldn't able to complete that classification, sir.
That's okay. That's okay. Take your time. See, I don't expect everybody to be master in all the programming languages. For Python Basics W3 schools, they have listed everything with the example. You can go with this one.
Hello, sir.
It's just a programming language, so you can just follow that one.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, who's this?
Sir, sir.
Huh.
Sir, okay. Sir, actually we understand the nearest point, farthest point, and mean, sir. But how do we write the code, sir, for that?
Code. Okay. You know the Euclidean distance formula?
Sir?
You know
Yeah.
the Euclidean distance formula? So you consider each value and then you compute that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you consider take the rows of each matrix of the test and you take the row of each matrix of the train. You compute the distance, sort it in an array. Fine. Abhinav, just look at this W3 schools, I guess that's fine. So it's just introduction you need. Depending upon the situation, you have Stack Overflow and other places. Guys, any other questions while you're doing this? Any other questions related to machine learning or any other field? Just ask me. Just put me on the chat. Guys,
Hello, sir.
yes?
Myself Shubham, sir.
Hi,
Sir,
Shubham.
I have a doubt, sir. The data which you have shared with us, that is wine data set, sir.
Uh-huh.
Sir, what is it all about, sir?
It's a components of a wine, like when the wine, the one which people drink. Okay. So the ingredients are there. On the basis of that, you will have to define it. If you go over there, wine data set, the categories. 1 second. Okay. So on the basis of this, the ones which you have flavors, hue or something, whichever you have, on the basis of that, you have alcohol over here. Okay. So if you look at the data,
Yes, sir.
okay, it will have 1, 2, 3 like that.
Okay, sir. So actually, it means to segregate category.
See, this 1, 2, and 3, these are the categories of the alcohol. So based on other parameters, you will have to classify in either of these 3 categories.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Shubham.
Sir, please show us also that how we can classify this wine data set.
I haven't written code for that.
Okay, sir.
I will have to write it. You just try it from your end. You load the data set. I've given all the codes how to load it in the Colab or CSV file. So you just try to see over there and then you do it.
Okay, sir.
Hardly
To edit
like
the code, housing the code which you have given asked for to us, the iris code, we have to edit that and upload the wine data set. That is what you are
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just have to
Yes.
analyze that. I just want you to
Okay, sir.
make it familiar with some other data set. Once you do that, then you have to do this one which I have given you. For this, you have, see, guys, uh, most of you, like if you're not in BTech, most of you are in might be in MTech, PhD, or faculties. So from research purpose, you cannot directly just go with the functions. That's why I gave you that problem statement. It's a value where you just have k value as 1. Okay, you take that and you try to do it. It's actually used in semi supervised learning as well. So these steps you will have to follow, but until and unless you get familiar with Python, it will be difficult. Okay, who was it? Fazan, were you that? Abhinav, you don't have to leave right now, just wait for some more thing. Thank you, Abhinav, for the words. Test data, Sanjay, what we do is test data, usually we randomly split the data set. Okay, sometimes we split it up into 80-20, sometimes we do it into 70-30. So if you're considering test and train, we randomly just select rows. Okay, and then from the rows, after selecting that, we just remove the labels. Now, 70-30, 80-20, this is a standard rule. If we divide it into test and train, if we divide it into train, test, and validation, then that's different. Train, sometimes people keep as 70, then 15% as train and test and validation. Sometimes training they give it as 80 and rest 2 as 10%. So it's up to you, like in which way you want to go with. For right now, you can just go with 70-30%. Just select 30% randomly. You see over here, there will be a function known as trend test split. This will help you to split the data set. Okay, 30% test size it will keep. And if you want, you can put it random, whichever you like. Sanjay, is it fine? Sanjay Kumar Sena? So in the test data, all the points which you have that is present in the row, that should be considered. How to decide between linear and non-linear if there are more than one variable? See, linearity and non-linearity, the ones which we are talking about, that is just the hypothetical test, like I said, on the basis of which you can do that. Because when you try to build up the model, you will see that if the assumption is if they are not linear, your functions will not give you the results. Then we go with the non-linear regressions. Most of the time, the data set which we have, they take the linear form.
Sir, the wine data which we have downloaded, we have to rename it .txt or .csv.
.csv.
Those are both names and data files. There
Yeah,
are two files, wine.name
both
and
both both the,
wine.data.
both the files, both the files.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, how to convert .txt file into CSV file?
Sir, just rename that
Yeah.
file.
Okay, rename that one. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's it. Any other questions? Guys, once you get familiar with that, please try the 3 steps which I have given. And Janish is asking, has anybody finished the classification thing? Janish, try from your side. Wherever you are getting errors, just ask me. I will help you with that. The error which you are facing. Just try to do one thing, means one program. You will get familiar with that.
Sir, After changing the name of the wine files, we have to save that files in the Google Drive folder, which we are
Yes,
opening the
yes, yes,
collab.
yes. Yeah, you save in that and then you give the path. While changing the path, make sure that over here, after my drive, whatever is there, you need to give that path. This one will be the same. And in that drive, first what you have to do, you have to execute this one. Is my screen shared?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shared.
So over here, what you have to do is, yeah, first execute this. It will ask you for the authorization. In my case, it was already authorized. You will get a link over here. Click on that link, sign it with the ID with which you have logged in into the G drive. You will get a code. You paste that code over here. It will come in your space. So after that, your Python now will be able to access your G drive. Then you can proceed.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will try.
Sure. If you suggest to select data for train tens from each attribute that is specifiable, how can it be done through code? Okay. See, Adarsh, what happens is when I'm saying this train and test, yeah, this one. When I'm saying this train and test is split when I'm doing, okay, what it will do is it will take the data, all the rows, complete rows. That's why we have already separated the features with the corresponding classes. So what we did, we took all the rows, sorry, all the columns present in a row. So we are trying to split on the basis of row. We are not touching anything with the column. If you do not want to hold that column, you need to drop that column. So dropping that column, I have shown you the code. If you want, you can drop a particular column over here using this one. This one. Using this, you can drop that particular column. But that is not required because right now you will be selecting all the rows. Okay. So when this train test split function is being used, it tries to split it on the basis of the rows and not on the basis of columns. Okay. Others, is that the one which you are talking about? Okay.
Sir, it is saying that you don't have the permission to share this file, upload this file.
Upload this file.
So when we are uploading the wine file into the IIT workshop with the folder which you have shared,
No,
it is saying that you
don't upload in my folder.
Oh, okay, sir.
You create in your drive
Okay,
and
sir. Okay,
then,
sir.
okay, you create a
Okay,
folder
sir.
in your drive and then you upload it over there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
'Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I have got the winedata.csv into the Jupyter notebook. How do I set the target or the classes?
You select the first column as your target, the
Okay.
class. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ten minutes are left. Any other doubts? Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, any
This is
tutorial is there for machine learning lab, sir? Ajni? Like the machine learning theory classes, there are NPTEL lecture are there. So like machine learning lab, also some tutorial are there. One you have shared, and that is the whole Python, and something like machine learning lab.
hello. Is it? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
By mistake, I got disconnected. What you were saying, sir?
Sir, I was saying that for machine learning, there are lots of NPTEL or other video are there.
Hmm.
So something like machine learning lab, also some tutorial are there. Like one you have shared,
Oh,
that is whole Python,
no,
and
nothing
like
as such I have found. What you can do is you can register in Andrew NG's course that is on Coursera. You can
okay,
take the
and
audit course. They will give you the assignments over there, the hands-on part.
okay, okay.
Okay. But as such, I haven't seen any course giving you the Python ones and all. Guys, any other questions? Any doubt? No problem. I can understand that's a Python course. My main aim was to make you familiar with understand the machine learning basics and show you how you can code that. Okay. Now, see, whenever we face with any other problem like how to read or write some CSV files or drop, we will have to Google it out. So it's better that you don't go with any Python basics. That's my personal suggestion, Vinay. And you can register for a specific course which is using Python for their hands-on. So wherever you get stuck, you can just Google it out and see which error you are facing. But anyways, yes, it's up to you. You take your time because I can understand just getting familiar with one new topic, it's really very difficult. It needs time. But I hope whatever I tried to convey through the machine learning and through the demos, uh, you got at least 70 to 80% of that if you're not comfortable with the data.
Sir,
Thanks, Avinav.
sir, when
Yes.
I change, sir, when I change the parts of the so where you have said that we have to edit the path of the file. So then
Hmm.
when I run that cell, there was
Hmm.
option run cell. So then there is a error, name error.
What is the error?
So name error, it is saying that name PD is not defined. Name
Name,
in commas, it is PD is not defined.
name PD. Which line
Yes,
you're talking about? You're running the
sir.
Python basics?
Yes, no, sir. Oh, the machine learning using Python. Linear regression, house price prediction. Sir, you said we have to edit the path of the
No, I said you need to edit the code so that you get to know, like while loading the data, after loading the data, what is the
yes, sir.
classification accuracy you have. So the
Yes,
KNN part you don't have to touch. While
yes, sir.
loading the data, you just have to load the data, separate the first column, put the entire features into a different matrix. Okay, and the first
Yes,
column
sir.
is your label. So first matrix which you get, okay, after dropping the first column, that will be your, if you just put the code over here,
So I have
that will
problem
be
in loading the data.
that if you first drop the first column,
Yes,
whatever
sir.
remain, that is your data.
Yes, sir.
And if you select the first column, that is your classes. That's it.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
After that, after that, you follow this step, you split it into train test, and then you
Yes, sir.
do the final classification part. Is it fine,
Okay.
Faizan? Did you get my
Okay, sir.
point?
So, but I am getting a result error in the loading plot. The loading data part, I am getting an error.
Loading data part. So have you mount the drive properly?
So we have what we have to mount in the drive.
I said,
Content G drive.
yeah, that one, this one.
So it is. It's. I haven't changed that. It
No, no, you
was.
don't have to change this. You execute this,
Okay.
give a permission from the ID with
Okay.
which you have logged in into your G drive, and then you proceed further.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay,
Okay.
sir. Thank you. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Vaibhav, what's the accuracy that you achieved? Vaibhav, what is the accuracy that you achieved for the wine data set?
Sir, 75% for KNN
Okay,
at
and what
n equals to 5 and
and
5.
what about
No,
decision
sir, 8.
decision
N
tree?
was 8.
Okay,
Decision trees are one, one, sir.
one. Okay, that means 100%. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Antara, it's not like a correlation matrix is for regression and classification. Correlation matrix is only for classification, not for regression. Okay. So in classic confusion matrix, what happens is you see the actual values and you see the predicted values. You see number of classes which are misclassified. Because when we say the accuracy, we don't know which particular class was getting misclassified. But over here, you can see whether the versicolor was getting misclassified into setosa or not. Why we are doing this is after that, when you proceed further, you will find that boosting methods are there. So you will focus more on that particular data point which is always getting misclassified. That's why we generate classification report. And after generating the classification report, actually your true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative, then other stuffs like F1 score, balanced accuracy, G means, everything gets computed through this classification confusion matrix. Okay. Oh, sorry, you're talking about the correlation matrix. Correlation matrix is only for regression. I thought it's a classification you're talking about. Sorry, confusion matrix. Correlation is only for regression. Antara, is it fine? Correlation is only for regression. Okay. I was telling you about that confusion matrix. Any other questions, guys? Any other doubts?
Sir, the same error is repeating, sir. When we
What
are
is
loading
the
the
error?
data.
Can you just share your screen, Faizan?
Okay, sir.
Faizan, have you shared your screen?
1 minute, sir. Sir, this is the error which I am getting, sir.
PD is not defined. You execute the first box, above box over there, numpy as
Yes, sir. Yes,
NP.
sir. I have executed. So I have
No, you haven't
executed
executed. Otherwise, you would have got the number over there. Execute this one. Import numpy as NP. After that,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
loading necessary packages. Now you execute this one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is it working now?
Yes, sir. Working.
Okay, Faizan. Any other doubts? Any other questions?
Now, sir.
Okay.
Now, sir. When I have loaded the data, now I have to come to the classification part.
Faizan, you can unshare your screen.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Only 2 people have responded. At least there are 100 people, at least 70-80% should respond. Share data. Which share data you're talking about, Suresh?
Sir, that tabular data for the wind or storm, weak conditions.
Oh, that
strong
one. That is a
So-
very common data set available for
Okay.
all the places. If you see, wait a second.
Okay, sir.
It's a very common data set. Fine, Suresh. I've just pinged it on the chat. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Sir, after loading the data, so we have to go to the classification part.
Yes.
So then, in which line we have to edit the code?
That you have to search. Otherwise, I would have given you the edited code.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will try.
Yes, I'll wait for another 10 minutes. If you have any queries, please ask me. Rana, I'm not sure what is about there. No, sir, from my side. Thank you. Thank you, Abhinav. Tushar, what is random state? Random state means how much randomness you want to bring it over there. That's it. When you are splitting up the data set, how much randomness you want to have. See, what happens is, Tushar, whenever you try to do the train and split, okay, every time it will give you different data, like because randomly it will pick up. So now you want to fix that data that every time the same random data should gets generated. So you try to give it a seed. Did you get my point, Tushar? Tushar? Okay. Kushbu, my email ID is rishabh.singh@nitdelhi.ac.in.
Dr. Singh?
Yes, sir.
So is it done? I think so.
Yes, sir, it's done.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for such a wonderful session. A theory class and just after that, hands-on session. I think no way can be better than this type of learning process. And we are really privileged to have Dr. Singh as a brilliant speaker and presenter. So thank you once again, Dr. Singh. And of course, for the participant. So I would like to say thanks to all the participants for showing such an enthusiastic response in the first two sessions. And of course, we'll be waiting for the same response in the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.